For those who are able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind two brothers on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Privates Henry Thomas Furner and George Leonard Furner. George Furner was born on the 2nd of May 1887 in Paterson, New South Wales, the first of 8 children born to Edmund and Barbara Furner. Henry Furner, known to his family as Harry, was born 2 years later. Harry and George's mother died in 1903 at the age of 37. George was 16 and Harry 14. The boys became closer with their younger sister Matilda, who they called Tilly, at this time. She was only 3 when her mother died. Further tragedy struck in 1907 when a younger brother, Edward, died aged 15. By the time the First World War began, George was working as a selector at Carrick-a-Bark and Harry was working as a farm labourer at Allenbrook. Harry enlisted at West Maitland on the 25th of November 1915. He joined the 35th Australian Infantry Battalion, known as Newcastle's Own, and was allotted to B Company. After some initial training, the 35th Battalion embarked from Sydney aboard the transport ship Benella on the 1st of May 1916, bound for England. The battalion spent 4 months training before proceeding to France in early November. The 35th entered the front line for the first time on the 21st of November, just as the terrible winter of 1916-17 descended. While Harry was enduring the winter in the trenches, George, who had enlisted in late October, embarked from Melbourne aboard the transport ship Orzova on the 6th of December, bound for England. While they were in uniform, both brothers wrote to Tilly, keeping their news light but seeking news of friends, family and home. The 35th Battalion went into action for the first time on the 7th of June 1917, during the Battle of Messines, and Harry came through unscathed. George was attending a trench mortar school at Lyndhurst in England. He had written a letter to his brother, which Harry reported to Tilly. I had a letter from George. He said that he was rather surprised to hear from me, as he did not know where I got his address from. He is still in England. Well, dear sister, I have not much news to tell you this time. I remain your loving brother, Harry. George sailed for France on the 25th of September and was sent to the Australian Reinforcement Depot at Rowell. During the night of the 11th of October, the 35th Battalion made its way towards the front line to take part in the first attack on Passchendaele. As the battalion made its way to the start line, the men were under continuous artillery fire. Combined with near-incessant rain and clinging mud that fouled weapons, conditions were described as muddy hell. In the early hours of the 12th of October, the 35th Battalion advanced, and by 10 a.m. was consolidating on its objective. However, the battalion had suffered heavy casualties, primarily from German machine gun fire. Around 3 p.m, the battalion was forced to withdraw to near its starting positions. Of the 508 men who went into battle, 418 men became casualties. Harry had been severely wounded in the chest and spine by machine gun fire during the advance. He was evacuated to the 11th Stationary Hospital at Rouen, where his wounds were treated, but the wound to his spine had rendered him paraplegic. Harry's wounds proved mortal, and he died on the 18th of October. He was laid to rest in the St. Server Cemetery extension at Rouen. He was 27 years old. George arrived at his unit, the 7th Australian Light Trench Mortar Battery, on the 12th of October. The battery had just come out of the line and was in rest position at Steenvedor in Belgium. In November, the battery moved to northern France, where it continued training, resting, and even took part in a brigade rugby, Australian rules and soccer tournament. On the 3rd of November, George wrote to Tilly. He had not heard the news of his brother's death. Very pleased to hear that you are all enjoying good health. Yes, I hear from Harry at times, but so far haven't had the luck to see him. Well, dear sister, as news is scarce, I will conclude. By the time his letter reached home, George too would be gone. In early December, his unit moved back into Belgium, returning to the front line in the Warrenton sector. On the 20th of December, George's unit came under light German artillery fire. During the shelling, George exited the dugout he had been occupying as a German shell landed nearby. He was heard to cry out, but by the time anyone reached him, he was dead. A piece of shrapnel had struck him in the neck, severing his jugular vein. He was 30 years old. There is no record of George's burial. Today, he is commemorated on the Menin Gate Memorial to the Missing in Ypres. Henry and George's names are listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. Their portraits are displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Privates Henry Thomas Furner and George Leonard Furner, who gave their lives for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of our director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.